Today, we are exploring two absolutely bizarre, completely contrasting aquatic phenomena hidden right here in California. We're talking about a deadly, toxic desert lake that honestly shouldn't even exist, and a series of mysterious, ancient ocean craters that have marine biologists completely scratching their heads. If you love geographic mysteries as much as I do, you are in for a fascinating explainer today. Let's get into it.
All right, here's our roadmap for the journey. We'll start with a man-made inland sea, then see how it went from oasis to toxic wasteland. After that, we'll pivot to the coast, with craters on the ocean floor, investigating the underwater anomaly. And finally, we'll wrap the whole thing up with sinkholes and unsolved mysteries.
Section 1, a man-made inland sea. Let's kick things off by heading right into the scorching desert to look at the Salton Sea. It's this massive 400 square mile body of water situated directly in the middle of a desert map. And spoiler alert, it is a literal toxic trap. So you might be wondering, how does a literal sea just appear in the desert? Well, it starts with a massive human error. Picture this, it's 1905 and engineers are trying to build an irrigation canal from the mighty Colorado River to the dry Imperial Valley. But they miscalculated. Heavy rainfall breached the canal walls and the entire Colorado River poured out of control into the dry Salton Sink for 18 straight months. When they finally stopped the bleeding, a brand new inland sea was born. Fast forward to the 1950s and 60s, and this total accident had miraculously turned into a booming desert oasis. It was the ultimate resort destination. I mean, Frank Sinatra partied here. It was drawing more tourists than Yosemite National Park. But today, well, it's a shrinking toxic lake. So what went wrong?
Section 2, from oasis to toxic wasteland. The truth is, this desert miracle was inherently doomed to fail from the start, and the reason comes down to its unique, inescapable topography. You see, the Salton Sea acts as what we call a terminal lake. Think of it kind of like a giant bathtub with a drain permanently plugged. It has absolutely no natural outlet. Water flows in, but it never flows out. The only way water escapes is up, through evaporation. So whatever makes its way into this basin gets trapped there forever. And that brings us to this incredibly deadly four-step cycle. Step 1, for decades, the mega farms surrounding the lake were pouring millions of gallons of agricultural runoff right into it. Step 2, that water was loaded with salt, chemical fertilizers, and toxic pesticides. Step 3, the intense desert sun evaporates the pure water. And step 4, all those heavy salts and toxic chemicals are left behind. Every single year, the concentration just compounds and gets worse and worse. Get a load of this number, because it really says it all. 50%. Today, the Salton Sea is over 50% saltier than the Pacific Ocean. The water has become so toxic and so heavily depleted of oxygen that it can no longer sustain animal life. The shoreline is literally littered with dead fish, and those luxury resorts where Sinatra used to chill, yeah, they were quickly abandoned, leaving behind these crazy, apocalyptic ghost towns.
But the tragedy definitely doesn't stop at the water's edge. Because farm water supply has decreased recently, the sea is rapidly shrinking. This exposes miles of dry lake bed, known as a playa, which is basically a vast stretch of ground completely soaked in decades of agricultural chemicals. When the intense desert wind hits this playa, it whips up these massive, highly toxic dust storms. Because of this, the nearby communities in the Imperial and Coachella valleys suffer from some of the highest rates of asthma and respiratory diseases in the entire country. A 1905 engineering mistake turned into a very real, modern geographic nightmare.
Section 3, craters on the ocean floor.
Okay, we are going to do a total 180 and pivot sharply right now from the blistering toxic desert to the cold, dark depths of the Pacific Ocean. Off the coast of Big Sur, there's a completely different, naturally occurring marine mystery that has baffled scientists for decades. Consider this staggering number, 5,200. Back in 1999, a ship-mounted sonar survey scanning the ocean floor off Big Sur made a truly shocking discovery. Spread across 500 square miles of the seabed were 5,200 massive pockmarks. And we aren't talking about tiny divots here. These are massive holes measuring over 30 feet across and 15 feet deep. They literally look like giant moon craters, but underwater. So the crucial point we have to ask ourselves is, what on earth, or what in the ocean, is creating these perfect circular holes? How do you get massive, incredibly smooth moon craters on the ocean floor? And to make things weirder, it wasn't just the large ones.
Sonar also picked up thousands of smaller, steeper micro-depressions that seemed to have these weird tails shaped by the underwater currents. Section 4. Investigating the underwater anomaly. I want you to imagine for a second that you are the marine biologist tasked with solving this. You're sitting in a boat, rocking on the Pacific, staring at a monitor, and steering a robotic submersible down into the murky depths using a joystick. You are actively hunting for answers. Your initial hypothesis might be that these holes are caused by gases venting out from beneath the crust. But as your robot scans the massive pockmarks, it finds 0 gas bubbles. Instead, it finds crabs just sort of chilling next to piles of plastic. And then it gets wild. While trying to navigate, a giant octopus literally wraps its tentacles around the robot. You find yourself in a high-stakes game of tug-of-war with the octopus trying to drag your incredibly expensive scientific equipment under a pile of trash for lunch. Luckily, using the robot's mechanical arms, you manage to break free and maneuver back to the surface. So, despite the whole octopus attack, the expedition yielded some crucial data. There were definitely no gas vents. But the video feeds and lab analysis revealed something highly suspicious. 1/3 of these pockets were filled with human garbage and discarded fishing gear. Marine life was literally using our trash as shelter right inside these holes. Which leads right to our next major question. Did human trash actually cause this? Did our modern pollution physically crater the California ocean floor? I mean, it certainly seemed like the most obvious culprit staring the researchers right in the face.
Here is the stunning plot twist. When scientists took samples from the large craters back to the lab for carbon dating, they got this number, 400,000. These large pockmarks are actually 400,000 years old. In fact, they haven't even been active or changed in the last 50,000 years. So human trash definitively did not create these ancient giants.
Section 5. Sinkholes and Unsolved Mysteries. The data gathered from the smaller holes brilliantly illustrates a really fascinating ecological adaptation. The researchers figured out that marine life simply gathered our recent modern trash, like plastics and nets, to build homes on the ocean floor, and that gathering activity is what scoured out about 4,500 of the newer, smaller microdepressions. But the origin of those 5,200 ancient, massive 400,000-year-old giants, still completely unknown.
To get a better look, a massive net cleanup operation was launched. Boats carefully removed the garbage while taking extreme care to protect the marine life trying to escape the nets. Once the trash was totally cleared out, they ran another deep sonar scan. The results? They could see the holes clearer than ever before, but it offered absolutely 0 answers as to how these massive craters initially formed. Nothing. Desperate for answers, scientists started looking for similar phenomena elsewhere, like Florida's famous green banana. But they are totally different vibes. Florida's blue holes are deep, underwater sinkholes that open below the seabed. The green banana is a 435-foot deep, nutrient-rich oasis absolutely teeming with sea turtles, sharks, and corals. California's Big Sur pockmarks, on the other hand, are relatively shallow, completely barren, and totally unique. There's just no connection to be found here. Which leaves us exactly where we started, staring into the dark waters of the Pacific. From a blistering desert basin, completely poisoned by a human mistake, to 400,000-year-old mysterious craters dotting the ocean floor, California's aquatic geography is just as beautiful as it is baffling. It really makes you wonder, with all our advanced sonar and crazy robotic submersibles, what else is hiding down there? What really lies beneath the surface?